Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. I'm Goosexi, and today we will be adding on yet another piece to our refinery. Um, it's not going to be as an important launch today, or I should say landing, compared to our initial landing. But today we'll be adding on some very important parts to our base. We will be doing 2 landings this episode too, so you guys are getting double the amount of landing per episode, as opposed to just one single launch or what have you. I just decided to go with that because it just makes more sense compared to having you guys watch 2 landings or two launches, which would be a bit much for an episode. And I've also been trying to kind of cut the episodes down a bit on time compared to my older episodes where, you had the launch and all that other stuff. And I always felt like it was kind of a more important thing to have the launches in the episodes. But I realized that, nowadays it's not really needed, and most people know that I do launch everything, from the launch pad, and land it on the surface of wherever it is I'm going, and so I don't really need to have that in there. It doesn't really add anything to the episode, so I decided to kind of cut that out. I mean, if you guys want to watch that kind of stuff, maybe if I decide to do some live streams or something, I'll keep that. Obviously there's no way to cut that out if it's live, but that'll probably be the only time. Otherwise, I mean, right now, or otherwise I'd have to use like a hyper edit or something like that to cut that out. So we will get this one in, or landed at least, and then hopefully the satellite stays close. Otherwise we're gonna have to wait maybe another orbit in order to actually get down on the surface here, because this if we lose communication, then we'll just crash on the surface, and then that won't be fun, and then I'll have to do this all over again. And you guys know how I like doing that. I generally try not to record my failures, but things happen. So let's see. Yeah, I usually try to, with most of these episodes, I really try to work out the kinks before I really record, because it makes no sense to record something and then just be like, oh yeah, well, I failed, so here's a episode of me failing. But in some cases, not everything can be tested, but things sometimes don't exactly go 100% according to plan. So let's get this thing down on the surface, nice and steadily and easily down on the surface, next to exactly where I want it to be. Yeah, this looks pretty good so far. I don't need to be like super close for the landing, but preferably the closer the better. And this is going to be a strut that is going to be connected to a solar farm, basically just a whole bunch of solar panels. So I need a really big array for what I'm trying to do. So I got a pretty big array on the way, so that will probably be in the next episode. If not, maybe I'll do something else. I'm not entirely sure what, but this is going to be strictly well, not really a refinery, more of a mining outpost. So the refinery will be coming later. So, and I plan on doing a really big refinery. So that is going to be another really amazing build. So I plan to fully fit the surface, and I kind of want to do it all in one base, but I kind of don't want to, regarding parts and stuff like that. Once you get to a really high part count, I know that this game has a tendency to not really run exactly the best anymore. I don't know if maybe they worked that out a little bit, but in the past, I generally could get around like maybe around 400 or 500 parts, and then things really started to get terrible. So let's get this thing down nice and gently. And I forgot to get rid of these 4 pieces here, but maybe I can finagle with them on there. So we'll leave this on here for now. I'm thinking I might end up getting rid of this whole setup as it is. The other one that's landing actually has a little bit better of a configuration, and maybe I can you know, use it for the fuel or something like that. I can figure something out. But anyways, I'm going to land the other one now, and I'll see you guys once we start getting closer to the surface. So we are coming down here really nicely, and yeah, it looks like I got a little bit closer than what I did before, but I did actually have to wait a couple, I think like one orbit in order for me to actually do this landing, because otherwise we would have lost communication, because we only have one satellite in orbit around, was it Minmus? Yeah, so we would have basically lost and then just crashed into the surface, which wouldn't have been very fun. So maybe we'll have to, at some point, get some more satellites in orbit around Minmus, just so we don't have to deal with that issue anymore. Or once the base itself gets a little bit more set up, then, you know, I think we should be fine. So let's get this thing connected up. Unfortunately, with this one, it doesn't really have all the pieces needed, but I should be able to make this work anyways. It doesn't have the legs on it, so if anything, maybe after this episode, I think I might end up relaunching this with a piece with legs. That way we can line it up a little bit better. But for right now, I think, yeah, I'll leave this one off to the side, and we'll work with the other one, just to, so I can show you guys exactly how this works. So, let's see, we will get rid of these 4 fuel tanks for now. Let's see, yeah, just get rid of that. There we go, perfect. I was just like trying to figure out what I'm doing. So usually with these, what I try to do is I'll use the SAS controls, the RCS controls, I should say, and usually that will get you by if you can set it up properly, if you can get enough lift with them. Yeah, there we go. So we can use this kind of as our, we can use a sky crane, so to speak. So these are pretty much the most useful things to use when it comes to building bases. Now, if you decide to use anything else, most of the time it really just does not work out as well as you expect it to. Like in the past, I tried using cranes, I tried using all kinds of different stuff to, you know, pretty much get these things built, and it really just doesn't work out as well as you expect it to. So let's slow down. And I'm going to kind of line ourselves up a little bit better with this. That way we can kind of come over there really nicely. So this is going to go on the side, pretty much the same side. So we're going to try to get right here with that. So this shouldn't take too long, but you know, if it gets a little lengthy, I will be cutting this out a little bit. But yeah, this usually doesn't take too long. It's one of the more interesting ways of doing this, which I've noticed a lot of people build bases, and it's kind of an all-in-one thing where it's just a bunch of stuff all connected together. You land it, it has the landing stage and everything. This is, to me, a much more genuine way of having a base on a surface. So I don't think something that's landed that has all the stuff on it already is really, to me, a base. It really doesn't kind of fit the criteria to me. A base is something to me that really can't be moved, and even if you did move it, or otherwise if you tried to move it, it would be pretty much impossible, which is much more, like I said, to me, much more genuine. It's much more, it speaks for itself, I guess, the best way to put it. So let's slow down here. All right, and then just twist around, which Minmus is probably my favorite place to build bases so far. The gravity is very low, so you know when you're sitting there trying to move stuff around, it really doesn't take too much effort, and it also doesn't require a ton of fuel, and you know, the setup isn't really as bad. I've done bases on Minmus and on Duna and on Duna's moons, and I find that doing them here is probably the most rewarding. So let's see, we're not very well lined up. And this may also require other things, but I'm thinking these sky cranes are working, but it might just be a little bit too big. It looks like it's already a little bit too big, so that's what she said. Let's get a little bit closer here. Sometimes not everything is thought out well enough, so I've made mistakes in the past. I think everyone on this channel knows I have. So I'm just trying to get the magnetism. Once we get the magnetism, we should be pretty good. It'll kind of pull us right in, and then we'll be good to go. And hopefully it doesn't destroy anything. Let's see. Come on. Come on. Connect up. Can we get it to connect? I don't think so. Alright, so I think we might have to bring a whole brand new sky crane here just to do this, which might require some minor modification. I should be able to do it, so if anything, in our next episode, I will be landing also a brand new sky crane to solve this issue, because right now, what it looks like is this fuel tank is bumping into our main hab, which is not very good. So, if anything, yeah, I will see you guys in our next episode with a brand new sky crane and also the solar panel pieces. So we'll have like another little 2 for landing. So, anyways, guys, if you like what you see here, subscribe. There's always more to come. Support me on Patreon. Check out my Twitter for my latest videos and whatnot. I post pretty much everything on there as soon as I possibly can. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.